All right, and we're back with episode 6 with 2016 sharpshooter Ryan Oliver and myself, Connor Fenlon. Thank you to everyone who has supported this podcast so far. Make sure you continue to subscribe on all our podcast channels and our YouTube channel. Today we are joined by Siena graduate of 1997, a 1,000-point scorer, led the Saints in rebounding 3 straight seasons, an all-conference max selection, host of In the Paint podcast, and now serves as the president and co-founder of The Collective in LA, Geoff Walker. Thanks for joining us, Geoff.
Hey, Connor, what's up, man? Pleasure to be here. Ryan, incredible to see you, brother. I'm excited, man. So thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate your time. Obviously coming from LA a little bit earlier than where me and Ryan are, but we really appreciate it. You know, catch us up. How is this pandemic going for you over in LA?
You know, it's been interesting because we started quarantining way back in March with stay-at-home orders, and then from March literally till June, people were pretty much locked down and everything. And then you obviously, well, we'll call it, you have Memorial Day, and I think people started getting antsy around getting out. So whereas we started out flattening the curve, our numbers ticked up, I want to say through summer a bit, through the 4th of July. And because of that, we fully haven't been opened fully, where you have some restaurants that are open for outdoor seating. You got gyms that only the gyms that have outside, like CrossFit, that are doing outside things are open. And, you know, other businesses are kind of half open. So it's been interesting being locked into my loft in downtown LA. I've seen a few friends. I'm very selective on how many people I see, who I see, when I see them, make sure that they're negative. As I am. So it's been interesting. It's been an exercise in mental toughness, to say the least.
Man, that's real, G-Walk. You know, I was in LA during quarantine and COVID when it first hit, and man, it everyone wasn't following, you know, the instructions and the rules, and you know, unfortunately, they were the ones who were getting sick and all. So I respect that of you for, you know, looking out for the other fellow Los Angeles.
I started quarantining. I think we went stay-at-home orders were like March 15th. I had started my quarantine in my own personal stay-at-home like on March 3rd, because I knew that this was coming down the pipe.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, let me buy up. I bought as much food as I could possibly buy up, but I was good. Like, I really, not that this is something to be proud of, but it's at least you get to know what your personality is in challenging times. And I bought groceries probably on March 2nd. I did not go back to the grocery store for like 60 days.
Oh, wow. Were you using Instacart or you just stocked up?
I stocked properly. I'm a very prepared guy when I need to be. And then I'm so ill-prepared on other things. So it is what it is.
Nah, I feel you. How was business, you know, going from kind of in-person in the office space to having to go virtual? How was that transition for you?
The transition hasn't been too crazy. It's unfortunate. Part of my business with, so my company, The Collective, oversees, like, we help guide people in the sports and entertainment space. And then part of our other business is part of my kickstand company, which does our event production. So we're doing event production for corporations as well as nonprofit organizations. We had 4 or 5 events that were lined up for April and May that unfortunately, you know, were canceled. So that's a challenge. And then you have to figure out, well, how do you generate opportunities for those same companies and those same nonprofit organizations? So, you know, we've moved to virtual, like everyone else has moved to virtual, doing virtual events, which is unique in a sense that producing an event from your couch is actually better. However, you're not generating the same amount of revenue, but it's just a different experience. Moving a lot of our conversation to Zoom, Blue Jeans, et cetera, it's now the new normal. So if you would have asked me this question back in May, how does it feel? I've been like, it's strange. Now I'm like, it's fine. It's I get to see the people I need to see. I still get to do a little bit of business the way that we want to do business. Put a face to a meeting, and it does cut out the random lunches and coffees and teas that you used to do pre-pandemic, which you're almost wasting 2 hours, you know, sitting there trying to figure out if you can do business. Now it's short, concise. Let's hop on a Zoom and let's knock it out in 30 to 45 minutes. So it's actually been more efficient, I would say.
Talk a little bit about how, what went into starting your own company. And, you have a bond with Ryan Oliver, as we all know. He still, on a lot of our podcasts, he talks about your mentorship and what it means. So what does like that mentorship mean to you to helping other people?
Look, I've only learned from other people who were my mentors as I was, traversing through this world. Going from, I went to prep school. Like Ryan and I actually had a very similar trek. So after Ryan got injured his senior year of high school, right? At Loyola, you tore your ACL, if I'm not crazy.
Yep,
And he was battling back. And let me just toot his horn a little, because I know he probably doesn't get a chance to do it as much, but he's one of the best shooters that I coached at the high school level. And he had a summer. We were at Fairfax, which is a iconic public school basketball program. They have an incredible summer league program out here in Los Angeles. This dude, I think your knee was actually already messed up prior to us playing that game, but you powered through. This was going into his senior year. I want to say he went 9 for 9 from the 3-point line. I mean, it was something insane. And he might have had like 35 just in a summer league high school game. Dude can shoot the hell out the ball. And coaching him was a pleasure. I used to always try to get him to run harder and get in better defensive stance, which is something that he got better at in college. But his help side and his weak side were not, they were not at Kawhi Leonard levels. Or Paul George levels, which those guys are playing not great right now. But anyway, they weren't at those levels back in high school. But to watch him go on to Northfield Mount Hermon, have a successful career there, and get the opportunity to go to Siena College. And when you talk about the mentor piece, I've been blessed to have a father and a brother and, my mom, who were very close-knit family, who were able to, guide me. And I had a roadmap to follow, an older brother who was 3 years older than me that went on to play at Holy Cross College. So you have those people that are in your corner that are going to look out for you, at least give you sage advice. Whether you take it or not, it's up to you. But when your roadmap was as strong as having an older brother by the name of Bill Walker, my life was much easier. I could kind of follow his path, take those steps down his path, and know that I was going to end up in a good place. On campus at Siena, I had a gentleman by the name of Walter Kaczynski, who Walt looked out for me when Walt was a executive senior level guy at UBS Payne Weber at the time, and he gave me some guidance as to what I should do post basketball career, and thought that I could be a successful financial advisor, stockbroker. Was kind enough to reach out to a few people that he knew in the industry. I was living in Boston at the time after I left Siena, and got me an opportunity there, an interview there, which I had a good interview, and then I really learned and cut my teeth in the business world. In finance, and that was due in large part to Walter Kaczynski kind of having me go down that path. And looking at it, I thought I was going to go to law school. My brother became an attorney. I thought it would be cool to do the financial world for a little while, so I did that. Had some success doing that in Boston, and through Boston, I transferred out to Los Angeles with, talked to my mentor in Boston by the name of Joe Mattia. Said, Joe, I think I want to go to Cali. I had a buddy out here in California who, ironically enough, was playing. I played for the Lakers. He had played at UConn. A gentleman by the name of Travis Knight, and we were good friends. We played on the People to People All-Star team back in college, where we traveled Amsterdam. This is when I was at Siena. Amsterdam, Belgium, Spain, and we just hit it off. We stayed in close contact. And then he ended up getting drafted by the Bulls and got traded to the Lakers, started his career at the Lakers with Kobe and Derek Fisher in the same time. He was already out there. I took a visit out to LA, said, if I could transfer, I'm going to go out to LA. I always wanted to come to LA anyway. And it just so worked out. I was able to transfer out here pretty seamlessly. With some, again, good advice and good guidance from my mentor back in Merrill Lynch. And because I left UBS and went to Merrill Lynch, and transferred out here. And I've been here ever since. So I'm here 20 years, man, 20 years. And obviously my industry, my businesses have changed, but it's been a great, great, great journey for me over 2 decades.
Yes, sir. Like you walk. Man, you hit on the head, man. We had some great times, obviously, at Loyola together. And it's
Yes, we
crazy.
did.
It's crazy.
We would have won. Look, we would have won a ring. We would have won another ring earlier if Ryan doesn't get hurt. Without question, our squad was deep. We had probably 5 guys that ended up maybe playing college basketball, going on D1, whatever that was.
Yeah.
And then you had Joe Stein, who decided not to play, but Joe could have played D1.
Bucket.
A bucket getter. And if we would have had Ryan that year, without question,
we win state.
Without question,
we
would have won state.
Yeah, we definitely would have won state for sure. And I'm not just saying that, but like we had 2 section player of the years, like co-player of the years, and they both were like, yo, if you played, you would have won. You know, like they're just like, yo, if you played.
It would have been fair if we would have Ryan, because we would have blitzed through the tournament for sure.
For sure.
He was that good. He's that good. He won't say it, but he was that really damn good.
I appreciate you, G-Walk. But no, Connor, I mean, Geoff has been a tremendous mentor, you know, in my life. Trying to piggyback on what he said, like he's, you know, from the beginning, you know, my sophomore year at Loyola, Geoff was there. We met, had a close bond from there, and it's just only grown. And even making a prep school move, having someone to relate to who did that. And the one thing I love about him, he's always a text or a phone call away. You know, no matter what time, whatever, hit my line, let's talk. Here's my experience. Here's my, you know, 2 cents advice. I'm going to support you however. And that was, you know, tremendous. And even now, still to this day, like he can tell you during COVID, hey, G-Walk, I got someone calling you. Hey, G-Walk, what's your email? This is about to be sent over your way. So he's been incredible. And it's crazy because, like, even going back to high school, that group of guys, like, so Geoff was assistant coach, Moose Bailey, Toby Bailey's brother, assistant coach, and then Jamal Adams was the head coach. And those 3 to this day are tight as I don't know what. And we all call each other big bros. And, you know, those are my guys. How did you guys meet? That's what I want to know. Let's go back. So everyone listening, this is like LA basketball, Loyola High School, Geoff Walker, Bruce Bailey, Jamal Adams. How did the 3 of you guys connect and become as close as you guys are now?
The funniest thing about it, it all goes back to hoops, man. Like literally, all right. So I'm flying out from LA to New Jersey, to Princeton, New Jersey for a Merrill Lynch training seminar where headquarters were in Princeton, New Jersey. We're in the back of this van, okay? The van that was picking us up from Newark Airport to drive us to Princeton, which might have been like a 45-minute ride from the airport. Well, the person that was in the back of the van was Jamal Adams, Coach Adams. So we just start talking, 2 gregarious dudes going to this training program, and we start talking. Like it literally shifted because we're both big guys, so it literally shifted the hoops immediately. And he was like, "Yeah, I played at Columbia University." I was like, "Okay, gosh, we used to go down to Columbia and play, you know." And I go, "My brother actually played at Holy Cross." He's like, "What years was your brother there?" Because Jamal's 2 years older than me. So he's like, "What year were your brother at Holy Cross?" He's like, "Oh, he was there from like 89 to 93, or excuse me, 89. Yeah, was 89? Yeah, 89 and 93." And he was like, "Well, what's his name?" I was like, "Bill Walker." He's like, "Oh my God." I remember as a freshman trying to come in and guard your brother at Holy Cross, and this dude was giving me buckets. So we started laughing. And once you start talking basketball, especially collegiate basketball, worlds just connect because it's such a small world of people. Even, you know, guys that you played with or coaching, the coaching tree, like it's small, it's incestuous, it's great for, you know, networking and all those things. So we just hit it off. And then over that training program, you know, because I think he was an assistant coach at Loyola. So he was working for Merrill Lynch on the trading desk. And then he was also an assistant coach at Loyola High School. And then when Jimmy, I'm losing Jimmy, who was the head coach at Loyola, Jimmy Williamson, thank you, chose to leave. Jamal, who went to Loyola High School, which Loyola, if you don't know, is tradition is like 155 years old, west of the Mississippi. Incredible, was known through the 90s as an incredible powerhouse for football. Basketball was always competitive, and I think when Jimmy got there, he started building out a more competitive program, and then when Jamal took over, we took it to the next level. And Jamal had gotten hired there he left Merrill to teach econ and African-American studies at Loyola High School. He was like, my nickname is, everybody calls me G-Walk out of Loyola. So he asked me, goes, yeah, G-Walk, do you want to help coach? And I'm a basketball head. So of course, for me to be doing finance and have a moment to slip away from finance and just coach young kids was something that meant the world to me as a great opportunity. Jamal gave me the opportunity, so we hit it off. Now, then you have basketball connection royalty in Los Angeles. When you're good, you go play college basketball, and if you're good in the city, you pretty much know everyone, or everyone knows you in some capacity. And Jamal, being the older head, he was basically big bros to, or is big bros to Toby Bailey and Moose Bailey. Toby Bailey and Ryan Bailey. Toby Bailey won the last national championship for UCLA back in 1995, went on to play in the NBA. Moose actually did a similar route to us, Ryan. Moose went to play, he went to prep school for a year and then went to Penn State and was like all Big Ten rookie team at Penn State, then transferred back to UCLA. So Jamal was telling me about this dude, Moose, like maybe it's my second year or third year coaching at Loyola. Hey, you're going to love this guy. His name's Ryan Bailey. And he goes by Moose, though. He's Toby Bailey's brother. And I was like, okay, cool. Whatever. We meet, and it was literally just brotherhood immediately. One, our competitiveness is beyond. I think our intellect and our high level, our intellect just in general, but our high level of intellect when it comes to the game of basketball. And we formed this three-headed monster at Loyola of all D1 coaches that kids don't normally get a chance to play for D1 dudes who could tell them the story of how you get to that next level. And we became just tight, and we built a program with us three all together. Jamal, obviously being the steward, the captain of the ship, who's brilliant, X&O guy, is a brilliant leader of men in general. We fell in line, and me and Moose, as his assistant coaches, added our 2 cents and our basketball acumen to the whole mix. And because of hoops, we just became brothers. We spent so much time together that it was family. I mean, we both were, Jamal had known Moose since he was a little guy. Me being kind of newer to LA at that point, I guess 5 or 6 years here in LA at that time, was in Moose's wedding. I'm the godfather to his daughter. And he is family. And that just goes to show, like, the Loyola high school community here in Los Angeles is tremendous. I want to say it's second largest alumni base other than USC here. And if you go to Loyola, you are literally a phone call away from some of the leading people across multiple industries and business, whether that be real estate, whether that be law, whether that be finance, whether that be the Grove that was built by a Loyola person, the big malls out here. And so it's a special place. And because of that special place, it's allowed me to be able to coach and be a mentor to guys like Ryan, who were good young men who, let's just be honest, didn't think we knew anything. As we were initially coaching them, when you're a teenager, you think you know everything. And ultimately, it's funny as they come back into our worlds as graduates of college and 24, 25, 26, 27-year-olds now, it's like they all say the same thing. Yo, G-Watt, you guys were right, man. Yeah, you guys were right. Like, look, we were trying to tell you how it was going to be. You thought you knew everything because you were in high school and you had all the answer.
Thanks.
But the reality of the situation is they all come back and they all say the same thing. But I love it because they're all our little bros. For me, it's being mid-40s now, and Jamal being mid-40s and Moose being early 40s. I mean, these are little brothers that, again, if they call, we pick up the phone immediately. For whatever we can potentially help with, as we're a little bit more seasoned, or we're seasoned in the sense that we're just down the road further. So we're down the road further in our career. So let's reach back and let's help. And let's give advice when we can give advice. That's a long-winded answer to saying.
I know exactly what you're talking about, because when these guys, well, I was a walk-on, so I was never a guy that's gonna play a lot of minutes, but I know those stories where the best player when they go to college, everyone's the best player from their city. It's it's like, okay, you score 30 a game, I score 40 a game. It's like,
Right.
there's only one ball at the end of the day. Who's gonna, you got to share the ball and get. So, those stories are everywhere you go. But talk a little bit about, you touch a little bit on your family, but Siena basketball is a family, as we all know, and now you're talking about your LA basketball family. So I think I might be putting this on you, but I think family is something that's really important to you. And talk about, keeping up with old teammates. You're talking about the LA basketball world. So how does that go for you?
It's it's important to me. Like I've been blessed to have had a good career at Siena College, and there consistency there. The consistency, maybe not of head coaches because things cycle through. Because Siena is the stepping stone college for any guy that comes through. They have success there, they're going to get a big time job. Their next job is a bigger program job, typically. But the consistency has been John Dargenio there, and he's been there for decades now. And he and I speak fairly often. And he keeps me connected with the Siena basketball family. The blessing was that, Ryan chose to go there so I could be more connected to the basketball program the years that he was there. And then, I was on a call with a bunch of guys that spanned from me being the oldest guy from 97 to Marcus Faison to Dwayne Archibald to who came after Dwayne? Prosper Caruanga, who's scout at Orlando. I'm just running my head. Tommy, Rodney. Why am I missing? Ronald Moore.
Yep.
Tay Fisher. Obviously, and Coach Carm.
Yeah.
Tommy. All these guys who have all put their handprints on the program. And Scott Knapp, and we were on, and Scott came on a recruiting trip when I was still on campus. And it was a beautiful thing to just get an opportunity to reconnect with those guys because of what the family atmosphere is at Siena College and stay connected with them. Because I hadn't, these guys are younger than me. So when I got the opportunity to be back on a Zoom call with them, and I followed the program, of course. It's a brotherhood. You play there at Siena Saints for life. And it was just great to reconnect with them, and I'm proud because I still talk to guys that I played with. Brian Bidlingmeyer, who just had a birthday a couple days ago, who was 2 years older than me at Siena. Stu Downing, who's an extremely successful attorney in New York City. And then my old roommate, Matt Arigale, who was a walk-on as well during my years there. He and I were roommates through college. These guys are still my brothers, and say we haven't spoken in like 6 months, okay? Say we haven't spoken in a year, okay? As soon as it's like, yo, a call, then we're on the phone. Now, the irony of all that is one of my dearest friends and literally my brother is Chris Wallace. And Chris, look, he's we were boys through college. Chris was a year or two years younger than me. And I am, his kids, they live in Los Angeles now. Chris is the chief communication officer for the Los Angeles Clippers. And Chris was head manager at Siena when I was there. And Chris is my brother. I mean, I was in Chris's wedding, and, I see Chris, probably once a month. And when pre-bubble, pre-pandemic, I'm at every Clipper game because of Chris's kindness of inviting me to those games. And Chris and I, I'm down at his house with the family in Manhattan Beach. His kids are basically my nephews. So when you talk about Siena, it is 100% a family, and that's a brotherhood that will be with me for the rest of my life, and that I'm honored to be a part of. And then I'm glad that I have had the opportunity to really stay in touch with many of the guys and be able to, continue to grow our relationship from silly teenagers to now middle-aged men.
Nah, that's real, man. Like, even though I just graduated, a recent grad, it's like, man, we'll go a year, 4 months, whatever, talking. But as soon as that phone rings or that FaceTime comes through, it's all love. It's all right down memory lane. Like, it's, you know how it is. Connor's over there smiling. He's like, yeah, same thing goes.
It's a blessing.
It is. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's something about that connection, that Siena connection that's tremendous.
So the Siena connection is like that, is deep. And like the Loyola High School connection is just like that.
Yeah.
And because here in LA, it's even deeper because I'm out here in LA and living here. It's literally I went to school in Kalamazoo, Michigan. I damn near feel like I went to Loyola High School because when I chime in on Loyola things, Loyola basketball, it's like C4L. I'm like Cub for life. I didn't even go to Loyola, but that's how much love I get. And if I wear my Loyola little hoodie on earlier, and the love that you get from just Los Angeles, people are like, oh, you went to Loyola? Oh, you're a Cub? Oh, well, it opens up doors and conversations that you typically would not have going to other schools here outside of USC and UCLA and probably Harvard Westlake. Yeah. But we don't want to talk about that.
We don't mention them, Connor. That's the enemy.
Yeah, that's the enemy. So
let's switch it up, G-Walk, just a little bit. So everyone knows, your successful career at Siena hoop-wise. What many don't know is how successful you were at soccer as well. Talk about growing up playing soccer, and did you have the decision to make if you're going to follow the hoop dream or the soccer dream? And let's hear about
that. And you try to live life with no regrets, right? So here's the thing. I was a better soccer player than I was basketball player. And I was obviously a pretty good basketball player, but my soccer, I was savant-like because one, I was 6'4" then, wiry though, 180 pounds. And I had my footwork and my ability to dominate defensively and offensively soccer, basically playing the whole entire field, offense and defense, playing the center halfback and stopper position. It allowed me the opportunity to, I traveled the globe with soccer, and I also, I went down and tried out for the national team multiple times. I was recruited by many big-time Division I soccer programs. So if you're going to call the top basketball programs in the country the Blue Bloods, like the North Carolinas, the Dukes, let's keep it East Coast, Syracuse, some of the other big names, the UConns. I was that level for soccer. So for me, I was getting recruited by Indiana University, San Diego State, University of Wisconsin. Those are teams that in the early 90s were winning national championships consistently. And I was recruited. My coach for my Olympic development team was a gentleman by the name of Jim Launder. And Jim wanted me to come to play soccer at University of Wisconsin. And at the time, Stu Jackson was the head basketball coach there. And I had known Stu through a gentleman by the name of Doug Collins, who coached the Bulls back in the day. I used to go to Doug's camp in Chicago. Doug was, always was trying to help me get recruited basketball-wise. I was mid-major talent basketball-wise. But I would have gone to Wisconsin if they would have let me play two sports. So Stu and his group were like, we like them. They weren't going to give me a full ride. I was going to get my money on the soccer side and then get some bucks from the basketball side to make it all work. But it was the time commitment that it would have taken for me to play soccer, which was a fall sport in the Big Ten, and then try to transition into soccer or try to transition to basketball would have been really tough to do. I would have done it. But I didn't get that opportunity to do it. So my soccer career ended prematurely. And I would say, and look, this is, I might sound crazy because it's tooting my own horn, but I'm not cocky in basketball. Basketball is good. Okay. Soccer, I was really, really damn good. And by the way, if the professional leagues of soccer during my era would have been bigger, like if MLS would have been a bigger thing, it was just starting. It was in its infancy back in the early 90s. I maybe would have chosen a different career. But hands down, I would have been able to play over in Europe and play at a very high level in Europe. I was a savant on the soccer field. And I miss that. So when I watch it, I watch soccer. I'm a Premier League guy. I watch soccer all the time. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, if I had to do it all over again, would I go play college soccer? Maybe. Look, I had an older brother who was really good at soccer as well. He could have gone to play at Indiana University. So we both were two sports stars in soccer and basketball growing up. And I miss it. I miss playing it. And I'm cocky about soccer because I was really damn good.
Was there any talks of you playing soccer at Siena also?
Yeah, yeah. Mike Dean wouldn't let me though. So, so I got on campus because I was like, maybe I just keep this going. So I forgot the coach of the soccer team at the time, but he knew my story and he was like, "Man, can we get Geoff to play soccer?" And Mike wasn't having it. So Mike, same just like Stu. Mike was like, "No, not gonna happen." And where I got on campus and I was damn near running cross country preseason stuff for basketball. But I used to play intramural soccer in the off season to light up people. So all the soccer team, which I loved, what was my man, Tommy? Oh, I'm forgetting my other guys. There are soccer guys there, but I used to play on the intramural team, and they knew I was nice, so they would pick me up when I play intramural soccer in the spring, and I score goals. I was like, yo, I'm nice at this. This is what I do. I'm a soccer player, fellas. So anyway, thanks for bringing me down memory lane on that.
Of course.
What was it? What was it about Siena that made you want to go to? Had you ever been to Albany before, or was?
I had not. I was at New Hampton School. They started recruiting me. I was getting recruited, like most kids when you're at prep school, you get a couple of the like super big fish. So I was getting recruited like Vanderbilt, a little love from BC, but I was like the third recruit at Vanderbilt. Like somebody was gonna not go, and then another big was gonna have to like not go, and then yeah, we got you, that type of thing. So that didn't happen, obviously. But when I stepped on campus, I saw the program that Siena had already built tradition-wise. Mike Dean, who's still my guy. Like I talk to Mike every now and then, and Mike really did a great job of putting Siena on the map to allow for the tradition to continue to build from the late 80s into the early 90s. And my host was a gentleman by the name of Stu Downing, who's still my brother. And I really clicked with Stu. Stu reminded me of my older brother. I got on campus and I saw my recruiting trip. I saw the facilities downtown. At the time it was, I'm thinking, is it back to the Times Union Center? What is it now?
Yep,
I forgot the name.
yeah.
All right, so it was a Pepsi, I think, when I was there. So I went down there and saw that. Then I saw on campus that gave me Cameron Indoor vibes, and then I knew, like, tradition-wise, they had just come off a great year, and they had this point guard by the name of Doremus Benjamin, who was bananas. And I was like, hell, if I can come here, I think I can come here and play right away. And Bob Byer at the time was assistant coach who recruited me to come. Bob, ironically enough, ended up going to Wisconsin going into my freshman year, so he wasn't even around my freshman year. And from that, I got on campus, man, because I enjoyed the community. It was a small community that played mid-major basketball, but it felt like you're playing big-time basketball. You guys know. And it was just, and the academics, I knew I could get a liberal arts degree. I knew I could go on and get a poli-sci degree. If I wanted to go and stay in the capital region area, I could have easily done that. It was just a great community. And the love that you get as a Siena College basketball player, even when you're not winning, it's pretty phenomenal for a young person to have that community support you in that way. And so it was a no-brainer for me. It's a big kudos to Mike Dean and Stu Downing and the tradition that was built there on that campus, even when I arrived. And, I was immediately smitten with it and signed, as soon as I had a chance to sign when I got back.
Nah, you hit it right in the head. Siena has that big time basketball feel. Like you run out. We talked about it in another pod. When you run out there and the crowd, the cheerleaders, the dancers, like the TV, the cameras, like it's big time basketball, man. You're in a big time arena, and this is great. It's nothing like it. That's for sure.
There's nothing like it. And then you get to be part of the community. Like we used to go visit the children's hospitals. We used to go visit all the elementary schools in the community. The commercials that run on TV that you're doing as well. You're visible when you walk around the community. So with visibility comes responsibility at the same time. So you have to be responsible in nature, but I still made it to DAPS often. And O'Flaherty's in my era. Michael's, a bunch of other spots over in Rensselaer, and we had it at Troy. It was a beautiful experience for the 4 years that I was there. Like I wouldn't trade it for anything. And ironically, things that we might talk about, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but for me, being able to connect the dots was after I left school and then you guys know, you may or may not know, but I grew up with Derek Jeter and his family in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And, you know, to be able to, a full circle moment for me was to be able to, with John Dargenio and the board of trustees that were on campus at Siena, to be able to create a scholarship program, the Turn 2 program, and allow for kids who participate in Turn 2 Foundation, Derek's foundation, in New York City, and at the time Kalamazoo, Michigan, and Tampa, Florida, to create a scholarship program that Derek would accept a doctorate of humane letters to the school. A kid that we grew up playing AAU basketball together. We were crosstown rivals in basketball as well in high school. And to come back 20 years later and have his family and my family on campus at Siena College was like mind-blowing in a lot of ways, because I don't think if you would have asked Derek and I in 1992, 93, like, hey, you're going to both be in New York after he has had a Hall of Fame career, and you're going to be on campus at Siena College doing a leadership conference for his foundation where his mom and dad are on campus, Derek's on campus. Then you have 200 other kids that are from Kalamazoo and New York City on campus at the school that I went to. And then we create this beautiful scholarship that allows kids to go to Siena College with room, board, tuition covered for them, and then impact these kids in the Turn 2 Foundation are tremendous. So they impact the community just as soon as they step foot on there. If you would have told me that in 1992, 93, that was going to happen, if me and Derek, I'm like, no, that doesn't make sense. But it did. And it's one of the things that I'm most proud of having that bond and that family relationship at Siena College, because if John Dargenio isn't at Siena College, I don't know if that conversation ever happens with me, because it would take an athletic director or someone in administration to like really look through and say, oh, let's go back and let's see, oh, Geoff and Derek know each other. Oh, Derek's a prodigal son of the Yankees, you know, and a legend, you know. How do we make something, you know, it wouldn't have been that. So it's incredible that we were able to figure out a way to connect the Yankee world and Derek Jeter and his sister Charlie Jeter and mom Dot and father Charles Jeter, and now, you know, Jalen Jeter, who's, I think Jalen might be 8 or 9 now, but he was a little baby then when they accepted the scholarship, or when Charlie came up and gave a commencement speech in 2012. You know, those are amazing things, amazing memories that I've been blessed because of my network and my respect for families that I've known who, for whatever reason, have always shown the Walker family a tremendous amount of respect, because my parents were incredible people in Kalamazoo. It's a small community. I tried to live the right way and be a good young role model when I was a teenager in Kalamazoo. Derek was the exact same. Tremendous basketball player, by the way. Tremendous basketball player. Could have easily played Division I basketball player. And then obviously his baseball speaks for itself. Did I know he was going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer? Damn near unanimous. No. But I knew that his work ethic and how he carried himself on and off the court was something to aspire to and be inspired by. And a lot of the work that I do philanthropically is purely because of Derek and seeing what he's been able to build, and understand that I have a small platform, but it's a platform nonetheless, that no matter what you do, you have to be doing things to help our youth get an opportunity and be a mentor to those youth as best as you can to help get them on the right path and guide them. And Derek and his family have done a incredible job of really being the litmus test of what greatness means, and how you use your platform to be not only an athlete, but also a great humanitarian and someone who impacts the community, whether it's Kalamazoo, whether that's New York, whether that was Tampa, which used to be his off-season home, to now what he's doing down in Miami. It's tremendous. And I'm blessed to know them as a family, and they you know, they inspire me all the time. So
you're one of the reasons I can say I graduated with Derek Jeter, because I was in the class of 2012. So I still tell I tell people I graduated with Derek Jeter, and then their first question is, well, how is he to hang out at DAPS? said, I graduated with them. I said, that's my name. I don't got to tell you any other stories. I said,
Right.
we're on the same graduation team, but talk a little bit about, having a relationship like that and a guy like that. How do he motivate you to want to be better?
Everything that he's done and how he has carried himself from the first time when he got drafted, which was 92. And I remember calling his house back when you had the phone book. You guys don't even know about phone book, but calling his house, and his mom answered the phone. She's like, "You want to talk to him?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I was like, "Yo, G, congratulations, man. And hurry up and get to I remember saying, hurry up and get to the big leagues because I'm going to be in New York," was basically like what the conversation was. And that was prior to me going to prep school, actually, because I thought I was going to go to St. Peter's, but
Really?
I didn't. So,
Yeah.
and watching him from his rookie year, rookie league ball to how quickly he was able to get to the majors was unbelievable. And when we had just come off an NIT run, and Derek was playing for the Albany Colony Yankees at the time. And he used to leave me tickets, so I used to go kick it over at the field out there by the airport. And then we would literally go grab Whoppers at Burger King on Wolf Road. I want to say it's Wolf Road, out there across from the Colony Mall or whatever it is over there. So, because he would stay out. What's the other mall that's out there? Yeah, Colony Mall. Then you got the one that's a little bit further away. Did it get Crossgates? Yeah, Crossgates. So he would stay out by Crossgates. And he was only he was only there, maybe a month, insane amount of time. He already got called to AAA. But this is what's funny. And I've said this story before, but I'll say it again. So in high school, Derek used to knock down 3-pointers like crazy. And he was a high-level athlete, as everyone knows, but he used to jump out the gym too. This dude hit a game winner as a sophomore over my outstretched hands at Kalamazoo Central. Portsmouth versus Kalamazoo Central. The ball went out on one of his teammates' legs, but the refs got the call wrong. And Derek has always had a flair for the moment, and no moment's ever been too big for him. So as a sophomore, he had a game winner over it was outstretched hands. He rose up above and knocked it down. And I laughed because then I saw him, it might have been his first game with Albany Colony Yankees. He, bottom of the ninth, fights off the pitching, hits a bloop single over the first baseman's head and scores and brings in the winning run on his first game. And then so when you see everything that he did throughout his career, never being fearful of any moment, it makes me chuckle because I'm like, this dude has been doing that since high school, if not middle school, and if not youth sports, by the way. So no moment's ever been too big for him, and it's tremendous that he was able to do it at the largest stage possible, and then to already know that he wanted to have greater impact in the community and start the Turn 2 Foundation, and always carry himself with grace and humbleness, because his family is such that if he ever tried to get too big for his britches, they would definitely check him on that. So that was never going to occur. But to be able to do that in New York City, there's no one, I guess Lou Gehrig, that had the spotlight on him at a young age and able to handle himself and be a polite human being and do some incredible things for obviously the Yankee organization. It's unreal. It's unreal. And he's still, he's, what is Derek, 6 months older than me or so? But I still look up to him. Thankfully, I'm blessed to be on the board because he carries himself properly. He does things the right way without fanfare. We've done, I helped do a little Las Vegas retirement party for him back in 2014. We did some things at Tao. that was not promoted. The reason why it wasn't promoted, Tal wanted it to be promoted. Tal wanted to, give him a big check to show up and do all these other things. And Derek was like, I don't need any of that. Nope, I don't need any of that flair. I don't need any of the extra stuff at all. I just want to go, come in, hang out with my friends, and move and go on from there. Like, that's the type of guy he is, that a lot of people, he's not from this era, in a sense that people want to show you all the great things that they do and look at me, look at me, look at me. And his humbleness is something that will always be tremendously respected by me and millions of other people. And, I think when people talk about some of the greatest athletes who've ever played a sport over the last 30, 40 years, that dude represents everything you want your young son or daughter to become as they become adults and when they're done with their career and whatever their respective careers, if it's sports or if it's technology. You want your kid to be a humble human being, just like Derek carries himself so well. Charlie, who runs the organization on a day-to-day basis, they're tremendous, and it's a testament to the parents, Charles and Dot. So,
yeah, he's a GOAT for a reason, and like you said, on the field and off the field, that's amazing to hear. But I have a bone to pick with you, G-Walk. I didn't even know when I got to Siena that you were the connection for Derek Jeter. I had to find out through Darge that you were the plug that connected the two. So I guess you're a humble being yourself, because you knew I was going there and you didn't even let me know or pump your own horn. But let's talk about also how the family has enjoyed yourself and kind of what you've helped with them with. I know, I think it was had to have been 18. You actually invited me to a book signing for Derek's sister. And it was at your job, at your workspace. You guys were doing an event. Talk about how the relationship has really journeyed on from working with Derek and coming to Siena and the program to now helping out the family and other different aspects.
Yeah. First of all, sorry that I didn't tell you.
Appreciate it.
But as that's just me though. Like
that's why I said the humble being yourself too.
I've been blessed to do some cool things. I have some cool relationships, and I treat those relationships with such respect that for me it's never been, hey, let me tell you I know this person. Let me tell you what I did. Like, if you want to find out what I did, hopefully you'll ask the right questions, and then you find out what I've done. And it could be, by the way, it could be a detriment to my business. Maybe my business would be 10 times bigger if I was talking and tooting my horn. And I get that. But I think people trust me so much because that's not who I am. Yeah. I don't need attaboys. I don't need people's validation because I have parents. Like, at the end of the day, I'm still trying to make my parents proud. Yeah. So that's the main thing. To answer your question and how the relationship has continued to grow, it grows because of the work that the family does with the youth in New York and in Kalamazoo and in Florida. And they are always on the cutting edge of how do we continue to impact? How do we keep on growing our youth Jeter's leaders to impact these different programs that they do, whether they're visiting colleges, whether they're spending time out in the respective communities and helping clean up and they have to abstain from alcohol. They have to carry a 3.0 grade point average in order to become a Jeter's leader. So they've done a great job of just being incredible stewards to what it means to be impactful and leaders in your community. That starts as a freshman in high school, as long as you get in. Within that, I think that for Charlie and I don't speak to Derek very often unless it's at a board meeting or at the fundraiser. Like, I don't want to make it seem like we talk every day, because we don't. But I talk to Charlie every other month, maybe, on just different things, or we just check in general, like, what's going on? Yo, I saw what you posted on Jalen, her son. Look, man, this dude, from athletics to just level of intellect, man, really? If he ain't you can't tell me it's not like this dude is going to be something special. But so Charlie and I just talk, and whatever's going on, whether it's nonprofit for Turn 2 or whether it's just business in general, we do a very good job of keeping each other in the loop of what's going on. Whether that's quick DMs or quick text to one another. Obviously with the Players Tribune, if there's anything that's ever going on in the Players Tribune, and I think that I might be able to be a value add to them in some capacity, I send Charlie a note. Vice versa. They do the same thing for me. I tell this story every now and then as well. Like, the one guy who Derek looks up to is my brother. And that's from Dr. Jeter, Charles Jeter's father, taking Derek to watching my brother play basketball and how my brother, navigated the world. And the funny thing is, like, me and my brother went to a foundation dinner years back, and Dr. Jeter was, he literally in New York City at the Sheraton, New York City on like 57th or whatever. It's packed. We're at this table. He sees my brother. He hasn't seen my brother in a minute. And he's like, look, everyone, I know you guys are here for Derek, but this dude right here, Bill Walker, was the guy, was the man. And it's just funny. So that's when we talked about mentorship, to kind of bring it all around. We talked about mentorship, but Jeter family and I continue to try to find different ways to continue to stay involved as a board member of the foundation. Charlie does a great job of keeping me in the loop of things, of what's going on. So it's one of my favorite relationships that goes back to being a teenager, and I'm blessed to have that relationship.
Well, I can't say I really know anyone that famous, so kudos to you. But as you said, it's not about knowing them, but what you can do to help them, because they can help you in any way possible. Change up gears a little bit. I want to talk a little. Obviously, you went to Siena. We want to talk a little bit about Siena. I read a couple articles about you, just get to know you a little bit. And you were a 1,000-point scorer, but you said offense was never really your game. What was it about defense that made you buy in? Was it to get on the court quicker, or what was it about the defensive end of the game?
Yeah, I think when you're young, as you guys know, and you're trying to find minutes, like, look, and they already have an established person in front of you. Like, the first way they find ways to get on the court is if you can guard someone, the coach has to find time for you. And when I stepped on campus, for me, in order for me to play, because there was a guy that was ahead of me by the name of Mike McGee, who was a junior when I was a freshman, but he had a knee injury. So I kind of got thrown into this mix pretty early, and I had to, like, it wasn't about me. I came from prep school averaging like 27 a game. So I could score, but in order for me to play at the next level and play right away, I had to shift my game. We already had three dudes. We had Doremus, who could get a bucket. We had Stu, who could get a bucket. We had our big man, Matt Grass, rest in peace. Matty just passed back in the summer with complications to his already precondition that he had, but to COVID as well. But Matt was a scoring big, and they didn't need me to shoot. But I knew I could defend, and I always could defend really well. And look, a testament to my footwork was purely because of soccer as well. So Mike Dean gave me a chance, and I remember being at Marist against the Red Foxes, and I had hit 2 clutch free throws to ice the game away. And at that point, I was Mike's guy basically from that point on. And I think I didn't start maybe the first 2 or 3 games of my career, but by like the 4th to 5th game, I was starting. And I never stopped starting for the rest of my career. But I hung my hat on defense, and look, I probably should have. I could have scored more, I suppose, but I was just trying to win, man. And we didn't win a lot my last couple of years there. But one thing I was going to do, I was going to lock you up. Period. The end. Freshman year, iconic scorer by a kid by the name of Travis Best, who went on to play at Georgia Tech, who played in the league for like 12, 15 years, locked him up. Locked freshman. He was a senior, junior, and was nice. Next round, NIT was a guy by the name of Gerald Honeycutt, played in the league. Again, 6'8" dude. Travis was maybe 5'11", 6 feet. So I guarded a point guard. Next game, I guard a lanky small forward. Next game I guard Candace Parker's brother. I'm losing his first name. He played in the league, shooter as well. And I was locking him up a little bit, and then I had to guard Kerry Kittles.
Oh.
That was a problem.
I was going to say, I didn't hear the word locked up, like confident like the other ones.
It was a problem, man. I've never had somebody come off so many screens ever. And that squad, that Villanova squad, went on to like be super competitive. Kerry's maybe sophomore year, but they went on to do some things like after that. And Kerry played in the league for 12, 13, 14 years with the Nets. He was ridiculous. That was one of the fastest dudes, like coming off the screens. That sounds like, oh, this is another level right here. And then there's this other dude who had just scored. Dude, Skeeta Jones was at Kansas State, and he had just scored like 55. And Doremus had also like put up many points in that NIT run, and I had to guard Skeeta Jones, and and I laughed and said, "Knox, like, yeah, I held Skeeta 35." Doremus went on and had like he might have like 38, so he ended up getting the NIT record. But it wasn't because I did any locking up of Skeeta. That dude could just score. He was a bucket getter. He played in the league too for a little bit. But I was a freshman trying to play these dudes and lock these dudes up, and I played my role pretty well. And and then my role kept on expanding year after year after year after that. So I think my career high might have been 28 or 29 or whatever against Rhode Island. But I scored buckets like my last 2 years there. I scored a lot then, but we lost a lot, so I wasn't. I'm not happy about it, quite honestly.
Nah, for sure. You mentioned it. You said that you and Dean, you became his guy. After that special run, when Coach left, there's rumor. Apparently, if I look back in the Siena Pro Board enough, that you potentially were going to shake and leave Siena. You were out the door, 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yeah. I was
Tell us about that.
Well, so Mike, like to this day, I'm still Mike's guy. And Mike has since done coaching now, retired, living in South Carolina. But Mike and I had a really good relationship, and he trusted me. So after my solid freshman campaign, after my sophomore year, we had lost. Stu had gotten hurt. He was in and out injured. Brian Bidley-Meyer was in and out injured. Maddie was in and out injured. Like all those guys that we thought were going to, be able to build a real foundation with my sophomore year. Like it didn't pan out that well. And I had worked, I worked summer camp, and me and Mike stayed in touch, and my brother, I stayed in touch with Mike also. And, I went to camp at Marquette. I loved it. It was a vibe because it was Midwest. It was, 4 hours from my family. I'm in Milwaukee, and it would have been a good look. And they played downtown at the Bradley Center down in Milwaukee, a little bit bigger time basketball, bigger program. And I knew, and with tradition, and plus I knew once I got done my freshman year and I got done my sophomore year, I was like, yeah, I can play like most guys who play Division I mid-major, they can play at a higher level. It's just the difference between mid-major and higher levels. Like they happen to have 3 6'10" dudes, 2 6'8" dudes, a PG that might be 6'5", and everybody else is like 6'6", 6'7". You just have it's just a height thing more than it is anything else. Yeah. And mid-major is known for like, if your guards can go, you got a chance no matter what. And that's why Kenny's been so good with Kenny to, Ron Moore, all those guys, and Tay, those dudes are guards that could just flat out go. So I'm ready to go to Marquette. Literally, my head coach had caught wind of it. I was at summer school, and I caught wind of hearing about this. Calls me in the office. Bob Byer calls me. I was like, so, we're hearing that you're thinking about leaving, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, yeah, this is true. Well, we got an opportunity to do some really incredible things here, long and short of it, you're an integral part of this program. And he sold me, he got the last word, so he sold me on staying. As long as you want to get the last, you got to be the last presenter. And I ended up staying, and I'm glad I did for what everything else that's come out of like the Siena family. I'm super, like, it all worked out the way it's supposed to work out. But Mike and I were speaking after Matt Grass passed, and Mike was like, Geoff, you would have definitely played big time minutes for me at Marquette. You would have had an impact at Marquette. But he said this, and it's the truth. He's like, but the priorities of what the type of kid that we recruit there versus the types of kids that were at Siena, he's like, you chose to do you stayed and you did the right thing. Not that those kids are bad kids, but it's a different thing. Like, it's basketball. Whereas at Siena, you get that well-rounded, I think, overall life experiences thing. That would have been different. So I'm glad I stayed. I don't think the Derek Jeter Turn 2 scholarship happens if I leave and go to Marquette. Yeah. And my experience at Siena was fantastic, and it allows me to still have a great relationship with the school. And I'm so glad that I chose to ultimately stay. And I know I hoop enough now. You know how it is. You hoop enough now, or my mid-20s, while I still put a hurting on dudes. And they're like, "Where'd you go to school?" I'm like, "Siena." Like, "Oh, where's that?" I'm like, "Albany, New York." I was like, "Small mid-major program." But I would give buckets. Some dudes I work at UConn's camp, give dudes buckets. I'll work Marquette camp, give dudes buckets. So you just, for your ego, you just want to know that you can handle what you can handle, and you can handle at the top level. And I proved to myself that I could do that, so it's fine. No regrets at all. Soccer.
Yeah, you could have played. Maybe you could have, after Coach Dean left, you could have just said, "You know what? I'm just going to play soccer at Siena." I'm done.
Right? I should have done that, actually.
Once Coach Dean left, what was the hardest transition for you personally for playing for a new coach?
Losing. Man, we took some L's.
Yeah.
Like, and it's funny because the coach that came in, Bob, after me, I have a great relationship with Bob. I have nothing but respect for him. He moved from, it's hard moving over one chair. Yep. He was incredible, what they would call now associate head coach. But when you become that head coach, it's a different limelight. The spotlight is way brighter on you. And I think we also I don't think he anticipated, having as many injuries as we had with our seniors that were that year. I was a sophomore, and our seniors were injured. And so he had to bring in a bunch of young dudes that he had recruited, he had recruited them to come in and play right away. And they weren't ready. And so I'm a sophomore playing with a bunch of young dudes and our KG veterans, so I thought I was going to be starting with, weren't able to play in and out of the lineup. And that's hard to do your first year as a college head coach. And we struggled. And that struggle for me was difficult, because it's funny. I had gone and played in a people-to-people all-star team between my freshman and my sophomore year, which it takes top guys kind of on the East Coast to go play. And I had tweaked my knee. I had torn my MCL. So I wasn't even really back to full strength until like December. So I was dragging. Was that sophomore year or was that junior? I can't even remember. But either way, I was dragging. And injuries derail an entire season. I mean, Ryan, you battled through a lot of injuries and that naggingness, and it's hard to get back. And sadly, Bob had a challenging run because guys couldn't stay healthy his first year. Then we got super young after that, where, I think my junior year and senior year, it was like me and like a sophomore and then like 3 freshmen starting. Like, you're not going to win a lot of games. Yeah. But that group went on to win a bunch of games. So they were able to play a lot, mature a lot, and then Paul Hewitt came in and righted the ship, and then the program went back the other direction, like tradition again, winning again. Yep. But man, I still don't feel good about it. I had a good career, but I wanted to win more. The NIT was my freshman. I thought I was going to go to the tournament the next 3 years. 100%. And I trained like I was going to go to the tournament. I got better as a shooter. I got better as a scorer. I got better as a player over those next 3 years. But we just didn't win a lot. And that hurts thinking back on it.
Yeah, I mean, man, I know from my time dealing with injuries, myself as a Saint, our team dealing with injuries, it's tough when you count on those guys to produce and play a big factor, a big role in the season. And, obviously it doesn't end up going that way. It's tough to adjust and it's tough to move forward. But like you said, Siena always finds a way to get back to their winning ways.
They do.
And that's for sure is the truth. What talk about playing at the Pepsi, like what we always say is the big time experience. What really got you going? Was it lights, the TV cameras? Like what really kind of just got you going in that moment to go hoop and play as hard as you can?
Man, whenever you go downtown, it's just a different vibe. It was just like, it's the better, like the bus ride downtown. It's like, we're play downtown. You're walking and it's the arena. So the bus pulls in, lets you off, and you go in the back. And, you got the locker room set up for you back there. When you look through the tunnel, you see the court off in the distance, like, and the lights are on the court. It's just everything that you have dreamt of as a kid that you want to play in. So that was just exciting. So we get there early. You got Hammer taping you up, doing his thing, and Hammer would always give you that extra, just little great advice to get ready for the game. And I love Hammer. I know everybody loves Hammer. But you go to the locker room, you go to the training room, you can have your headsets on. They got the sound system, the music playing through the arena. Obviously they kept the lower bowl. The lower bowl would be open. They black out the top part of it, which was fine. And it's just the right vibe. The lights are different. Like everything's a little bit brighter, and you that you just feel better. I don't know. I love playing there, and I was always mad because we were like the first group that finally started playing like 8-9 games down there. And then they finally made it, the home court. But look, I love playing on campus too. There's just a different level of feel about that. But for me, and then when the big time teams would come in and we play at the Pepsi, and I remember the late Governor Cuomo, they let out the government employees early the day that we played Georgia Tech. We sold that bad boy out. I think we were like 16,000 strong that game. And then Tulane, which was ESPN game, another 16,000 strong, man. And bro, that place was rocking. I mean, the court storming and the vibe was just unbelievable. And you have politicians there. You have the whole community there.
Yeah.
And then craziness on campus, in the quad, outside of Plasman. Hennepin. Yeah. And man, it was crazy. As the kids would say now, it was a movie. So it was great, man. Playing down there was phenomenal. Even when I go back, I haven't been back in the last 2 years, but I need to get back. But just going down in the arena, it's the reason. I'll be honest with you, it's probably the reason why I signed there. As much as I love my visit, but I was like, oh, we're gonna play a couple of games down here. Let's go. I think my best scoring, my career high, I think I got it against the University of Rhode Island. And they had Catino Mobley played in the league. Yep. Tyson Wheeler was a point guard, played a little in and out of the league, played overseas in Europe for a while. Antonio Reynolds Dean was another dude, played overseas while in the league for a hot second. Yo, I busted. I had the highest score that game. Like, I know Cat played in the league forever, but you had to show out because you're Siena, you're mid-major. Yeah. These other dudes are athletic A10 conference. You're like, I'm gonna show out though. I'm gonna let you guys know something. And my parents were staying at the Marriott over at Wolf Road, right? That Marriott that's over there. Yep. And I went over there after the game, and URI was staying over there, and all the dudes were just giving me crazy love. Just that as a mid-major dude, when you go get buckets and let people know, like, oh, you might not have heard of me, but I'm coming for you. And you get that respect. It's all about that in basketball. You get that respect.
Yeah.
Man,
it's not like it.
the greatest feeling. And then I would go down to URI's campus, or I'd be in Providence during the summertime, whatever, randomly. And I'd run into those dudes out and about, and they would just still show love. And I'd run into Tyson Wheeler when he was at Clippers camp out here in LA, and he'd still show me love, you know. And it's just that arena was everything to bring it all back. That arena was everything. Time to show up.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. And I guess to change it, you know, with this year being so uncertain for the team, you know, I know they're trying to figure out a plan. I know that the TU might be at like, what is it, Connor, like 15?
I think it'll be 3,500 if they play at the TU this year.
Play there or just be on campus. You know, we'll talk about your experience playing on campus, and you know, obviously it won't be full, but just talk about that experience playing in the Arc.
If you could play, if you're not going to have, because they're going to be good this year.
Yeah,
but you got to remember that's 3,500 spread out, so that's tough, double levels.
Yeah.
Sure.
I would rather play with 1,000 at the Arc.
I couldn't agree more.
Because the Arc gets rocking.
Man,
the Arc when the Arc is jumping, and everybody's right on top of you. The Arc is that's a beautiful place to play too, man. I love playing there. We've played some big games there. If you're gonna do it now in this environment, I'd rather have 1,000 people at the Arc.
Yeah.
You come on campus, you pull up, you're about to get beat. You're about to get drubbed. That just is what it is. The Arc is nothing nice. With 1,000 people in it, it's loud. It's intimate. The lights are still bright there. It's intimate. People are right. You can hear everyone what they're saying. Intimate. Nice. The Arc is nice. I miss the Arc. Man.
We played the CBI at the Arc, and it was, I mean, obviously the first game we played, we got smacked, but the environment there is just, like you said, they heard what was said in the huddles. Yeah, they heard the trash talk. But I think the best part was the student section, because now it's like, hey, I don't have to get on the bus. I don't have to fight finals. I don't have to fight homework. None of that. It's like, hey, the game's on campus, perfect. I'm 10 steps out my dorm if I'm in Plasma, and I'm right there in the student section, you know, going crazy for us. And it helped us. That's why we won the CBI in that third game, having that advantage. Like, like you said, you can't hear what's going on.
They have no idea what they're about to deal with when coming into the Arc. They have no idea.
Oh, none. And it helped me because, you know, the TU is great and all, but it's still the big backdrop when you shoot. So
right, it is.
I go to this enclosed environment. I'm like, that's music to my ears. Like, that's easy.
Right. It's funny. I think I actually shot better at the TU though, for whatever reason. I don't know why. I think I shot threes better down there, but the Arc, when you get it going in there, because it's just a smaller venue, you have a good backdrop. Man, you can get busy in the Arc, and the way you shoot, 22 feet and in, easy. My toes had to be right on the 3-point line. You come off the screen like 3 feet behind and just let it go. Like, okay, I could never do that, but you know.
That's my motto. If I can see the basket, I was in range. Not just playing.
Totally. True.
Obviously, just talking to you, I can tell the love that you have, not only for Siena, but the basketball program, which that's why it's the same with me. You know, I live and die it. Obviously, Ryan does also. But talk a little bit about where the program is from where it was with you. You know, now they have a practice facility, the upgrades in the weight room, upgrades in the Times Union Center, which wouldn't have come if guys like you weren't there, you know, before. So just talk about what it means to you to see how far the program's come.
Man, it's special. Because when you're in LA specifically, and people might only hear about your program when March Madness comes around. But there's a pride level to it. And when people are like, oh, you went to Siena? Oh yeah. No, I know you guys are in a tournament a lot. Like that is a huge, makes you feel good about your choice. And then when you see how the program has put the appropriate money behind it, getting the facilities to raise the level of facilities, that just lets you know you're going to be able to stay ahead of the rest of the MAC when it comes to recruitment. And even there'll be some kids that are maybe are big time that are like, but they're not necessarily the number one guy. They're going to say, I want to have the atmosphere and the feel of big time basketball. So I'm going to go and play at Siena College because of the facilities, because what you have on campus, because what you have downtown. And that's a differentiator. It allows for the program, I think, to continue to grow in ways that we'll see over these next couple of years. I mean, I hope we can keep Coach Carm around for a while. Thankfully, he's from that area, so it might be hard to pry him away from that area. He's done a great job thus far, and I think he exceeded expectations last year. And now a little bit more target on your back. People aren't going to be sleeping on Siena. They're going to be ready for Siena. Got a couple transfer kids in that look tough. They got some young guys that look great. They have some veterans that are nice. Guys testing the combine and the draft, which that's always a beautiful thing to just let you know the type of talent that comes to Siena. And it does come on the backs of, for us, it's the guys in the late 80s. It's the guys, Tom Herter, Bruce Schroeder, Mike Brown, Mark Brown. Those guys are before me. Those guys are still like my brothers. They looked out for me when I was on campus there. And then you see we had a pretty good run, at least my first 2 years or so there. And then Marcus Faison and Corey Osinski and Scott Knapp and Brandon Fields and Jim Catamesa, those guys had kept it going in the 90s into the 2000s. And then you had Dwayne and Prosper, and those guys kept it going even when they struggled out the gate. But they still found a way to sneak in and play the play-in game, which kept the tradition going. And then Fran obviously gets there, and Fran flips things in a level of I like it how Paul Hewitt put his imprint on the program. And Fran goes and has an incredible run, and the guys that played there, Kenny, Ron, I'm losing the names, but those guys were phenomenal. And then they won big games in the tournament. So it's been an evolution to the program and where it is now that is special. I think it's I think I used the early analogy of very Cameron Indoor Stadium-ish when you play at the Arc. It is like that. Student section's gotten crazier. I think they know that kids come to that school because they know they're going to be able to root for the basketball team. And that's for sure. I've heard from a little birdie that, the new president wants to, he has ambitious goals for the program. Like Sweet 16, he wants that to be something that's a normal occurrence. Yeah, let's go. That's beautiful. And I think that Siena College 100% can do that. And you're going to get a great education while you're there simultaneously. It's a small environment, which is cool. You know everybody on campus. You have a personal relationship with your professors, your counselors, the rest of the student body. You walk amongst them. You're not better than them. You walk hand in hand, and then you get to, hang out with people at the townhouses, hang out with people at Plasma Hennepin and all that. Such a small campus, which is beautiful. And that's that family atmosphere. So I would love to see it continue to go in the direction where tournament is every year, if not every other year. I don't want to put too much pressure on Carm, but if they can continue to, get there every other year, and then continue to get good talent, but good student athletes as well, who, yes, you're going there to play basketball, but you're going there to get a great degree. And then what you do transition-wise after that degree is very important, too. So I just want to continue to see the program just grow and thrive because I think it's well-positioned to do so.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's the pitch Geoff Walker gave me, and that's why I end up committing to Siena. But no, let's talk about kind of, I go back east for prep school after I graduated from Loyola, having you as a coach. And then, I'm like, hey, Geoff, Siena's interested. Hey, Geoff, Siena offered. Like, talk about what that meant for you as, as a little brother of yours to receive that interest and offer from Siena, and then obviously reach out to you for advice and just kind of hear about your experience. And then for those who don't know, I invited you to come, actually begged you to come because I think you said no the first time on the home visit when Mitch came to LA. Because I wanted to be part of it, but just talk about what that meant for you, and just to hear that.
Look, for you to get recruited by Siena, and then to actually really be considering Siena at the same time was a very proud moment for me. Because I'd always talked about the school while coaching you and telling the other guys, because guys in LA, they don't have any idea, and I'm like, yo. these do like the school tradition wise. It's I might get in trouble for saying because I'm still here in LA, but I get there's Pepperdine. I get that there's LMU. I get that. Okay. I even get, for that matter, I even get that there's USC basketball. Okay. But outside of LA, and if you're going to go play mid-major basketball, if you're cool with leaving LA and you want to play in front of fans, then you're going to choose Siena because you're going to get love when you go there immediately. And then I'm big on broadening your horizons in general. Like I was recruited by Western Michigan University, a big mid-American conference school in Kalamazoo, Michigan, where I grew up. I was like, what good is it for me to continue to be around the same people that I grew up with in this community that I actually really know really well? I go, I need to expand my horizons. I don't want to just be a Midwest kid. I want to be a Midwest kid who ends up being an East Coast kid who's now a West Coast guy. Like I want to know people on all these different coasts. So when it all comes together, I have to continue to build my network out of people, whether it's business or whatever. I know someone that I'm close with in all of these different regions. And thankfully it's worked out that way for me. So I used to tell, guys like yourself, Ryan, like, hey, if you get an opportunity to go to the East Coast of school, take that opportunity. Plus, you're at prep school there. There's so many small, great Catholic institutions that play competitive basketball more so than are out here in Los Angeles. And when you said you got recruited, so Mitch started calling me, checking in with me around you, right? So he used to hit me like, and there's other things he used to hit me on, like, so how's his knee? I'm like, his knee's good. Like, what am I going to say? Yeah, his quad might be a little. He's got to work. He's got to rehab still. He's going to be fine. Like, what am I supposed to say? Like, that's my little bro. And I know once you got healthy, how good you were going to be. So, and it worked out that way because Jimmy came in and, after with Jimmy's style of coaching and you taking the coaching and then you being, which I would have never thought would have been what you also became, which is like a defensive dude at the same time. I would have never thought that was going to and you became a defensive guy at the same time. So I was, you called me to come to the dinner, and I think I might have said no the first thing because I wanted you to get the experience without it being biased and me putting too much on it because I'm sitting in that dinner with you. I didn't ever want you to feel obligated to have to go to the institution that I went to. I just told you what my experience was there, and I think it all played out very well for you because you chose to go there, and thankfully that Mitch recruited you and that you played great at Northfield to get the opportunity. And I remember sitting with your mom and your dad and VO, your brother, in that dinner, and then talking with Mitch after that, and and then you choosing to go there. When you signed there, man, it was big time for me, man. My little bro was going to my alma mater. As a West Coast kid doing that, that was awesome. And then you're back on the East Coast now. So it's one of those things where it's like, yes, this is the reason. LA's always going to be here. You can always come back home, but you have great relationships out there. You did great at prep school there. You had a great career at Siena there. The reason why I found out you got the job at Northfield was out of the blue, Darge texts me. She texts me and tells me that, that's big. That's the difference of, that family cares. And I was so happy for you. So that's just it's an amazing thing. And I'm just happy that you, that you listened to me in the sense of just giving it a chance. More so just giving it a chance. You're going to recruit by other schools, but just listen to the spiel because I think you're going to have an enjoyable experience.
And I think we both agree he picked the right spot after all said and done. But yeah, he talks really highly about what you did for him and how you helped him. And he actually, I think it's important that you let him, take the process. You didn't want to be in his ear too much because obviously we know you would have sent him to Siena if it was up to you.
Yeah, of course. I want you to go there. But I knew I could be heavy-handed, but I don't want to be heavy-handed.
Yeah, you're not at least not right away kind of thing. Right. It is, but if you were to go back, obviously you probably do go back a lot in your life. What could I have done differently at Siena? Is there one thing you look back on and said you wish you did differently or something personal you wish you would have got?
I mean, things that are not in my control. I just wanted to, flat out, I wanted to win more. My first year, I thought it was always going to be gravy from that point on. I wanted to win more. I feel like I put in a ton of work to become a better basketball player while I was there. I feel like I became a better I became a man of community when I was there. I learned a tremendous amount about how to be as a positive person within the community in Albany. It has given me my foundation to everything that I do now in my life. It's also given me the confidence to walk into any room and not be overwhelmed by a moment at all because of the experience that I had at Siena College. I walk it, playing in big arenas, I think was helpful. Being on TV, being interviewed, Roger Weiland and Dan Murphy, I want to say at the time, and all these guys are Channel 10 and NBC, and then being out in the community of going to go visit kids at hospitals. Be cool every now and then. Going to a restaurant, having people recognize you. It's definitely made me who I am now this day. I'm not overwhelmed by really any scenario, and nor do I don't let the highs get me too high in my life. I don't let the lows get me too low. I think I handle adversity because I had to deal with challenging and adversity for a kid that's a teenager going in his early 20s when you're losing a lot and you're having to step up, like the questions that Russ Westbrook and James Harden are being asked, and you're doing that as a 19-year-old, 18-year-old, and you're having to really ask some tough questions. The reporters are hitting you with like, well, what happened here? Why'd you guys do this? What do you feel about this? How you're on it's an 8-game losing streak, and having to like articulate back to reporters and still trying to stay upbeat and positive because your teammate's going to read that in the paper. Your coach is going to read that in the paper. That the community is going to read that at large in the paper. And having to have those challenging conversations has made me a far better communicator. Has made me feel comfortable not being afraid of anything that's thrown at me. I kind of handled that in college of negativity. And then, look, the flip side is having coaches yell at you also. Like, I don't need a lot of attaboys to motivate me. Like, I've been screamed on and called some names that I can't even repeat on here. And I know, Ryan, you have as well. And Connor, I know you have as well. So those are things that you don't recognize in the moment that they're helping build you to the adversity you're going to have to deal with in the real world and not in the college bubble. That Siena College prepared me for. And I didn't know that it was preparing me for that. But I do know that I am the person I am today that wants to give back and wants to help people tremendously while I do my business. But every time I'm doing my business, I have my eye on, well, how am I helping and impacting my community? That's a product of my parents and how they raised me. It's a product of seeing how Derek Jeter's done his thing. It's a product of being in the community as a Siena College student athlete all the time. And knowing that the Franciscan tradition itself is very important to wanting to give back to the community that you live, that you serve, and that you work and that you study in. And so Siena gave me that foundation. I've taken all of that and have done the exact same thing here in Los Angeles. And I wouldn't have been able to do it if it wasn't for Siena College.
I love it. I love it, G-Walk. Siena's made all of us into who we are today. And I think that, it has a very, very special place in our hearts. And like you said, it's the brotherhood. It brings us all together. And yeah, I appreciate you for, obviously introducing me to it and it helped me along the way. And then obviously, just with meeting Connor throughout it when I first got there, like it's a special place that really builds you up, and you have people that's, part of your family, part of the brotherhood for a lifetime. And it's definitely great to be a part of. We're going to transition to our quick hitters. We know you're a big time music guy. What's the best era of music, or what do you currently listen to, right now?
Yeah. I'm so biased. All right, well, I listen to a ton of hip hop music. Look, there's my favorite hip hop guys are Kendrick, J. Cole. I tend to lean cerebral, intellectual, social activist rapper more than I lean any other way. Yes, there's a moment for there's a moment for Migos song. There's moments for more Drake. But for me, I grew up on Public Enemy, Tribe Called Quest, Backpack Rappers, De La Soul, guys who are rapping and saying things that I thought were influential to, me being a proud young black man and growing into a proud black adult. That was very important to me. So I still lean on that. If I'm going to go current, it's definitely Cole and Kendrick. I love YB and Cordae. You know, he's been just more recently on the news because of, you know, Naomi winning the U.S. Open, which is dope. I love seeing that young, beautiful couple together.
Couple.
You know, I dig that. Anderson .Paak. I'm listening to a lot of Snow Allegra as well. I love R&B. I love that soulful vibe to my music. I'm less inclined to listen to the Cardi B's of the world and the Nicki Minaj vibe. I can go on. I won't go off on a tangent on Cardi B right now, but you know what I'm saying. And keep it moving there. I think, but I love Rhapsody. I love anything that that she's put out with Ninth Wonder. But that's like my genesis. I'm very much that guy when it comes to hip hop. And then I listen to old soul music. Like if you talk to my parents just had their 50th anniversary back in August, and I can rattle off, you know, classic albums from Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye. I love Motown sound. I love Smokey Robinson. I love the Sister Sledge. I love Parliament. I love James Brown. I love like all of that foundational things. And then at the same time, now those are a lot of black artists, but then I'm flipping. I'm like, yo, I love Michael McDonald, you know, which is, you know, Blue Eyed Soul. I vibe there. I vibe with Elton John. I vibe Guns N' Roses. You know, I grew up in the '80s, so MTV was just hitting the mix. So I used to listen to Adam Ant. I listen to pop music. I listen to Hall and Oates. So these are like groups that are folky too, and I'll throw on Jefferson Airplane, Jefferson Starship. So I can go all day long on that Steve Miller Band. You know, I vibe on that, but then I go Afro music too. So I listen to Fela Kuti. You know, I go reggae, obviously Bob. But I love music. I love music. And somebody had asked me, a music producer, guy by the name of Major, who produces stuff for Justin Bieber and a bunch of other artists. And one day we're at a restaurant out here, and he's like, "What do you like more, sports or music?" And my initial answer was sports, because it's just like what I would say.
Yeah.
And the irony of it is, it's not the truth. It's just not. I love sports, but I'll tell you, through this pandemic, the thing that's got me through this pandemic has been music. Yeah. Because sports was shut down for a while, and I still didn't feel like I was missing out on things, because I have my brother D Nice, aka or Derek Jones, aka D Nice, who's an incredible DJ, on his IG Live, who really took IG Live platform to the next level, because he's the first one that went super viral with it. And he just plays incredible music. So that got me through, and you know, being able to see all these different DJs live on IG it saved me. Now I'm glad that sports is back. So now I got my music and my sports together. But when you talk about creating movements, and thankfully these young brothers and their white allies in the NBA and the bubble made a great stance 2 weeks ago, which is tremendous. And I'm proud of them. I'm proud of them using their platform for the right reasons. But there's always a soundtrack to it all. And in the 60s and prior to that, like music and blues and all those types of genres of music were always a soundtrack to the challenges that American society was going through. And soul music being a part of that, and blues being part of that, James Brown being a major part of that, Sam Cooke, Otis Redding, like those guys were singing about the difficulties that are actually happening in this country. And we have the same thing going on now musically. So when I'm feeling, when my emotions and I'm pent up, or I need to calm myself down, I guess I could throw on The Last Dance and watch Michael. I could do that. That might work. But if I can't throw on a game, and that's not going to bring my emotions down in any way. But music is going to allow my spirit, my energy to either go positive or to sit and become a deeper thinker about the current affairs that we're dealing with, and finding the right music that's going to fit to where my mindset is at that moment, and make me be a better person, and make me really start thinking about, well, how can I give greater impact to what the social justice issues are right now that we're dealing with? And it's a music thing that gets me ready for that. And it's music that gets me ready back in the day to play basketball. Yeah. You know, so it's like music. long-winded. That's not a quick hitter for you, but that's my.
Hey, you're enlightening us all. But what would you say the best restaurant in LA is?
Whew. The best. Okay, look, the best restaurant in LA.
Your favorite? Excuse me, your favorite.
Okay, so that's twofold. All right, so best restaurant in LA is Avra. It's in Beverly Hills. It's incredible. It's Avra, Avra. It's incredible. Google it. To anybody that's going to watch it, it's incredible. And then my favorite other is Craig's. Is great as well. Dan Tana's is an iconic old school spot. You go in there and get some incredible Italian food, and like you're thrown back to like the 60s. It's beautiful. And then Taylor's Steakhouse, which is over here in downtown LA, is old school steakhouse, which is great. I just wish that they're all open in the way that they used to be open. But once we get this COVID thing in hand, I will be back to a couple of those restaurants. Auburn, not as much because it's expensive, but every place else I'll go.
Nah, I feel that. I mean, I live in LA and I haven't been to a couple of those. So I'm gonna definitely put
older.
This for sure. I'm gonna hit you when I go too. Make sure we go together.
Yes, exactly. I got you.
What about Capital Region? What was your go-to spot to eat when you're in college, or if you come back and visit?
Saga.
Old reliable.
That free 99. I feel that.
And then it was I Love New York Pizza when we would get over to Troy, because we go to the bars every now and then, so we get a couple slices. O Flats, I don't even know if O Flats is even there anymore. O Flats was an Irish spot. They had like 10-cent wings, or they had Drinking with Lincoln, and then which was literally a nickel beer, a draft beer, and then 10-cent wings. Wow. And yeah, I was like Monday nights. There's another spot we used to go to, Miracles, and then I'm losing. There's a spot. What's my steak spot down that Darge sent me to when I was there a couple years ago?
677 Prime.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
677 Prime.
Yes, bro. Incredible.
Amazing.
Incredible. It's that. So in my post-college days, that restaurant, because I stayed downtown a couple times, I've come through there and I've eaten there multiple times, and I'll stack that place up against many a steakhouse that I go to. Yeah, it's delicious. Unbelievable. Their dessert was crazy too. So yeah. Good stuff.
Who do you personally think?
Oh, and Saratoga, by the way. Saratoga Racecourse. I go eat anywhere there. Saratoga Racehouse.
Yeah, actually, you're right. There's a lot of good places up there. Just we're closed, obviously, all summer wide.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Who do you personally think the best Siena basketball player ever is?
Best Siena basketball player of all time is Mike Showbiz Brown. And then Doremus, because I play with him, he's a close second. And then you only asked me for one, but Showbiz, he can play in any era. Like right now, so the way the game is played right now, Showbiz and Doremus would have been in the league and been in the league for a long time. D was pulling up from 26, 27 like Steph back in the early 90s. And the difference was, that was during the era where it was all about big guards, though, at the next level. Like all guards were like point guards, like 6'5", 6'6". So Doremus was slight of build, and Mark Brown was a little bit slight of build as well. But Mark was nice. Showbiz was a problem. And I talked to guys my brother's age that were on the East Coast at the same time. Showbiz was a problem. He would give any of the dudes that came through that run with Kenny, Ron Moore, and Tay problems. Who's the young PG there now? Problem. Yo, this dude Biz was crazy. He was crazy. The dude's nickname was Showbiz. No one's had a dope nickname like that in the history of the program since then.
That's very true.
He had his own T-shirts. They were printing T-shirts for him. He was banana. I know it's before you guys' time, it's before my time. That dude was a problem.
Yeah, we.
Is he still leading scorer?
Yeah.
One or two. I think he's still a leading scorer.
Yes, yeah.
I'm like 800 points. I'm crazy.
Yeah, they used to pull out those VHS to show us videos of him.
I know they need to transfer all of that stuff and put that on digitizer because Showbiz was a problem. That's all I can say. He's amazing. Then for me, Dreamus was an incredible guard. He was unbelievable too. I mean, Siena was a guard. Siena has actually always been like a guard school. Now that I think about it, it's like Capital Region, kind of like PG University, you know. So it's because they got nothing but great guards. I mean, is Kenny still playing over in where's he at right now? Italy? Yeah, I mean, Kenny could flat out go, man. That crew was crazy. Those dudes were good, man. I would say, okay, now if you're gonna go by team, that group was Edwin Ublis in that era. No, Edwin.
Yeah, it was Kenny. It was Kenny, Ron, Eddie, Al, and Ryan.
Yo, yeah, because Rossiter, right? Yo, that's the best era of Siena basketball team-wise, but best player is Mark Brown. That group, those dudes, man.
Yeah. I think many
those dudes, man.
agree with that.
Yo. Yeah, those dudes were nice.
Nah, that's what's up. What
started on that team too. So anyway. That's all for the conversation another time.
Was there a player you modeled your game after growing up?
Like growing up in high school?
Yeah.
Man, I to this day I still do the same damn fadeaway shot. Like it's funny. Like I laugh at my scouting report. Like, oh, he's going to turn over his right shoulder and fade away in the post. Oh, he's going to drill. If he goes left, he's going to go 1, 2, 3 hard dribbles and pull up 17 feet and shoot that. If he goes right, he's probably trying to get all the way to the rack. Like my scouting report was pretty simple. But the fadeaway, because I still play the same way now when I do play. The fadeaway was very MJ, based upon MJ. The rest of my game was not MJ. But it was more, like, I was pretty efficient with my dribbles, man. I wasn't the dude who's going to sit around there and handle the rock a bunch, man. I was going to get to my spots. You give me, if I'm on the right wing, I'm getting hard true dribbles to 17-foot right off that elbow, pull-up jumper. If I'm on the left wing, I'm going left hard baseline and pulling up and probably fading a little bit off of that. I played the trail a lot, so you know I walked into many a trail 3. So I was a shorter stretch 4 before stretch 4 became a thing, I guess. I don't know if I patterned my game off of anybody per se.
Okay.
There wasn't any guys necessarily before me at school who played the way I played. I wanted to rebound like Lee Matthews, who was an iconic rebounder there. So I rebounded like Lee Matthews. I tried to shoot it my own way, and I talked junk. Like, that's just what I did. So, patterned up crazy.
What's the what would you say the best arena you've ever played in or been to?
Madison Square Garden, hands down. Played in multiple times in my career. Loved it. There was nothing better than walking to the Garden. Nothing better. Going down there and playing. When we played NIT, we had might have been 17,000 there that night, and we came out the locker room. They were all screaming for us. Nothing better than Madison Square Garden. Lost to Manhattan a couple times in the Garden, but man, whew, the Garden, man. I know everyone says this, but it's the truth. There's nothing like playing at the Mecca of basketball.
Yeah.
Jesus, man.
Yeah. What was the most points you ever scored in a game?
I think it was 27 against Rhode Island. I think it was 27 was my career high. I think. I had multiple. My senior year, I had multiple 20-point games of 13 rebounds. Okay. And I just was a position rebounder. I wasn't the greatest athlete in the world, of verticality, but I just had a knack. I think since I was a kid, I always had a knack for knowing when the ball's going to go off the rim. So I used to get a gang of rebounds. I had a bunch of double-doubles. I wasn't Ryan Rossiter level double-doubles, but I had a bunch of double-doubles. That guy was a walking double-double. So, but yeah. So definitely. I think 27.
If you could choose one Siena Saint person you didn't play with that you wish you could have, who would it be?
I mean, I just gloated about it the last. Yeah. I would love to play with Mark Brown, and then, shocker, I know. And then I would love to have played with that group, Edwin, Ron, Tay, and just been look. I would have got my 8 points, 12 points maybe a game. Been fine with that. I would have guarded the other team's best player. Been fine with that. And that would have been it. I would have loved to play with those guys. That would have been fun. Yeah. And I would have played with those guys. Like I know you guys are like, he wasn't good. I would have played with him.
I know. I've heard a lot about you. I think you would have held your own.
Yeah, I would have held my own.
The record book speaks for itself, man.
Yes,
1,700 plus, so
yeah.
I know the vibe. I know the vibe.
Yeah, 30% win percentage.
They don't keep track of that, so you're good.
They don't. That's true.
Oh, that's hilarious. So again, we're still new in the game of the podcast game. We've had some great guests on, like yourself. Name one person that you would love to see as a guest on the show.
You know who's a really good? Well, I'm gonna give you two.
Okay.
Because it would really be cool if you guys got Coach Carm. He's phenomenal. I didn't really know Carm. I've had some incredible conversation with him since our summertime. I actually owe him a text back. He's a great. He embodies what Siena is. Hard worker, kind of under the radar, but is going to put his foot in your back if he needs to, because he's going to just go hard, unheralded about it, get it done, get in, get it done, and get out, get a W, not talk a bunch about it next game. Like, he's that, and I think that's what Siena is overall, and he just represents it so well. So I'd love for you guys to get Coach Carm. And then player-wise, for me, it's like guys like I love this list of Dwayne Archibald and Prosper talk. Prosper would be great because Prosper can give you some perspective on the NBA and what Orlando did as well. I think Marcus Faison is incredible. Look, get those dudes, man. Those guys are great young men. And gosh, I guess Marcus isn't even that much younger than me, but I feel like he's still like my little bro. But those guys have done some things on the basketball court in that scene, and they won a lot, and they literally helped build that foundation of what Fran was able to inherit because of the work that those guys did prior to it. So I would like to say, any one of those guys. I guess Coach Carm, and then Nap's up there. Get Scott Knapp on. Nap's funny. He's dry humor funny. So Knapp would be good. He'd be able to take you to the Paul Hewitt era as well, because he came in after we had already started losing. So he came in and righted the ship.
We're obviously new to it, so we're taking down a list, trying to get everyone on we can. There's a lot of guys you want to get on. A lot of guys, obviously, with how extensive Siena basketball history is. There's a lot. There's a lot.
Oh, there's a lot. You guys should get. I mean, if you can, you should get Tom Herter. Who's dad to Kevin.
Yeah.
And I mean, I see Tom invited me out to when Kevin was at EYBL back out in Santa Monica years ago. Kevin was still junior going into a senior, I think, of high school. And Kevin was nice then. I mean, he was on a squad. The squad was him, LeBron, and AD, I think. They're playing pickup. Man, Kevin was shooting the shit out that thing, man. And he's a good guy. He's a good kid. I'm just happy that he's the best. I'm in Atlanta. He's a good kid. Jeez. And so Tom Herter is great. If you can get him because he's old school, and then, you never know. You might get that Herter plug.
Yeah. No, but we definitely appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us. Also, if you definitely tune into the other podcast that Geoff has. In the Paint on Spotify and iTunes, correct? And also on social media, on Instagram, at In the Paint Podcast. Thank you very much for joining us, Geoff. Really appreciate it. Obviously, very unique stories with the connection with Ryan. I know this is one of the guys he had circled. He really wanted to get on, so we appreciate your time. And if there's anything we can ever do for you, I don't know what we could, but we'd love to help out and likewise kind of thing. But definitely appreciate your time.
Appreciate you.
Hey, guys, thank you so much. Ryan, thanks for having me on. Connor, man, pleasure to meet you. Look, obviously, the extension is the same. Whatever I can help you guys with as well, just let me know. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to talk to me. I know I rambled on a lot. My mother called in and threw off the whole. But I love you, Mom. But I love this to the Siena community who does listen to this. Look, you guys are in a special community. Everybody keep on looking out for each other. Stay healthy, stay safe, and have each other's backs, man. We are in an interesting time in this country and in this world right now. Let's try to stay positive. Let's keep on building allyship. Let's keep on building a brotherhood and a sisterhood that's going to help us be a better Siena community going forward and then being a better country going forward.
Absolutely. No better way to say it than you did, kind of thing. But definitely appreciate your time. And make sure you subscribe on all your wherever you listen to podcasts and on our social media. That's another episode. Thank you.
Appreciate you, G.